It's time to get nerdy, y'all.
A little bit of gaming history for you.
Something relevant in gaming and discuss our opinions on it.
Should we kick it out of here, or should we kick-start it?
This is the part where you, the listeners, try to stump the hosts.
I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on a podcast. Ladies and gentlethems, chaps and chapesses of all ages, welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, October 24th, 2023, and it is time to get nerdy. Welcome to episode 285 of Two Nerds in a Pod, the nerdiest gaming podcast in the multiverse. I am Maction, and I have a special guest host with us tonight, joined by an expert of technology, expert in the craft of D&D actual plays, and a gamer to her very soul, Metzgirl.
That was quite an introduction. Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. It's so delightful to have you joining us tonight. Mr. Nice Guy could not join us, but we are in good hands. So the next hour, it is for us to hang out and talk about the things going on in the news, all things gaming related. But first, Metzgirl, how are you doing? How's your week been?
It's been a mixed bag, but I've had some good times. I've had some bad times. Get knocked down, get back up again, you know, the usual.
Just be sure to get yourself a whiskey drink, a vodka drink, a lager drink, and a cider drink, and I think you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I'll just go piss the night away. It'll be great.
Chumbawamba fans,
That's
you know.
the getting drunk version.
Indeed. You know, an interesting thing happened. Last week, we didn't have a regular episode because Nice Guy was traveling.
Sure.
And so I put out like this really short one that was like, hey, we're considering doing some live shows. So like, let us know where you would be if we were going to do a live show so that we could like do that stuff. Anyway, I have had several people reach out already. Several options that are there. A couple that I was really sad about because I'm like, oh yeah, we'd love to do that, but the window's already closed. But you know where the window hasn't closed? Emerald City Comic Con. So Seattle, potentially, Mr. Nice Guy's backyard, and lots of people that I actually know, and not insurmountable for me to get there myself. So, it's been a fun week to see where people want us to go and do live shows like the DC Beltway and things like that. Yeah, we'll see what 2024 holds, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we're gonna, get out there and do some fun live shows.
That sounds amazing. Hopefully you do one somewhere that I can attend.
Yes.
But don't count on me because my 2024 is going to be a bunch of moving and stuff. So. Busyness.
Noted. However, I would never want to, neglect the Midwest as I have such deep connections there myself. So, it'll happen.
We have so many amazing cons that happen here. I don't know why you wouldn't want to come to Anime Con in Omaha. That's just the best ever.
Well, I mean, hey, now, Metzgirl, we met at I guess you'd kind of call it a con in Omaha.
This is true. It was an Extra Life fundraiser.
Yeah, you're right. But still, what I'm saying is the power of the convention, of the con, cannot be anything except a pro, which is why we're going to do it.
All right. Sounds fantastic. That's some really good news to get through your week. One of the highlights of my week has been, and this is getting into what we're watching, but my daughter had never seen a Mel Brooks film before, and I recently got access to HBO Max, so I showed her Men in Tights. It does not hold up. There's so many references to specific 90s things that she just didn't get the joke, and it was like every, I don't know, probably 5 minutes, it was another reference to something she had no idea, and I was just like, oh yeah, Larry King was a talk show host. That's the club. It was a thing you would put on your, like they put a club on a horse. Those kind of jokes that you don't think about when you're thinking back to the movie because they're not like huge jokes. It's just like a little sight gag thing. And so sadly that one does not hold up. So I will have to show her Young Frankenstein or something else instead.
Dracula Dead and Loving It is my number one go-to Mel Brooks that isn't so much time.
Of its time, yeah.
Yeah.
Noted.
So, but yeah, no, I hadn't thought about that.
Neither did I.
Well, we have those today in modern films.
Yeah.
We just call them Easter eggs because only the truly dedicated people will get them.
Oh, yeah. You're not a real gamer unless you catch all the 78 Easter eggs in the Mario film. Like, whatever.
Well, that sounds like a delightful evening.
It was a lot of fun. It was just a little disappointing, but it was so much fun to see her react to the ridiculousness that is Mel Brooks.
Thanks for sharing that, Metzgirl. So you have been so kind as to offer to share the news with me because I'm so woefully out of the loop.
That is fair. So you know what's new today?
Ooh.
Like new, released today.
Ooh.
City Skylines 2. And boy, the reviews are kind of a mess. They apparently the frames per second FPS on it is not great. Just loading it up, some people are like, I'm getting like 7 frames a second, which I'm assuming is being over the top. But apparently they have a lot of problems with performance in general. They kill the frame rate just building a city of less than 10,000. You need to like go in and adjust all the settings to make sure that it's running well. So everybody was super excited for this, but maybe hold off. Maybe wait a month or so before you buy this, unless you're super into City Skylines, which I love the game, but I think I'm gonna wait. We'll see if I can get it on a Steam sale sometime in the future.
So I have to admit that I don't know that much about City Skylines. I think SimCity was definitely more my speed, and I understand that City Skylines certainly builds on it. What sorts of, improvements beyond SimCity would you have in Skylines? And what sort of improvements beyond Skylines was Skylines 2 supposed to bring?
I don't know all of the differences, but City Skylines is essentially SimCity. You can do some more wacky things. Like I think SimCity had a few more things to kind of limit you in what you could do, whereas City Skylines, you can build towns of millions of people if you really want to dedicate that much time to it. But it's the same kind of concept where you're planning for water and sewage and electricity and all of the things that you need to plan for a city, all of that kind of stuff.
So sewage is definitely a new one for me because SimCity, it was just electricity and roads, I think, and nothing else. Maybe water. I don't remember SimCity well enough anymore. Because the last SimCity I played was the mobile version, and it's trash. Oh.
It's just they want you to pay to win, and so you get to a certain point and
don't tell me EA Games, right?
Maybe. I honestly don't remember.
That's my money. Get in the comments, people.
Let us know. Are we right? So anyway, City Skylines, and it also adds some fun things, like you can do the meteor strikes and the tornadoes and the stuff like that, but there's no monsters. So that's something that SimCity has. There's no getting King Kong to come attack your city or whatever they had. So, sadly, but there are some really good videos out there. Let's Game It Out. He likes to break the games. He manages to. It's fantastic. That is probably the thing that I was most excited for that I'm kind of disappointed in. But the other thing to kind of go along with that, since City Skylines 2 is all over Twitch right now, they are going to allow simulcasting to competitor streaming platforms, which has previously been completely disallowed. They just announced that last week on Friday. And so they've got their guidelines out there, and it looks like this could be a good thing for streamers trying to build, multiple platforms potentially. I know quite a few people who had to choose, you know.
So it's been a while since I've done that much serious streaming. You know, basically, the most serious streaming that I do these days is, you know, this show that we traditionally live stream just in one spot on Twitch. And occasionally, if you're lucky, maybe the VOD gets uploaded to YouTube. Yes, we are terrible about that. We know. Are we going to change? Probably not, but we can dream. Simulcasting to multiple services has been a deal breaker.
Yeah. So Twitch used to disallow you. So like if you wanted to do Caffeine and Twitch, which I don't even know if Caffeine's still around. But anyway, if you wanted to do a different platform and Twitch, you could not do them simultaneously. You had to do one and then the other. And there are some people who currently like I know some Twitch streamers that are also doing a TikTok stream, which apparently got around the rule somehow. But they can do Twitch and they can do TikTok, and they could potentially, I don't know how much computing power it takes to simultaneously go to multiple platforms, but it's really cool because I know that it can help people who do nothing but do their streams and their creative stuff. It helps them to be able to have multiple platforms and multiple income revenue. Because we all know that Twitch going through Amazon, it's not the best way to make money. But if you can have a big enough, you know, maybe if you have a small Twitch, but you have a larger YouTube, you can maybe do both at the same time. It could be very useful.
Twitch has made a lot of progress, but like it still doesn't really compare in a lot of ways to the sheer volume of people going through YouTube. I can understand the inclination. I seem to recall Restream used to be a service where you would just stream to that one location and then it would send it out and simulcast to various spots. Well, I'm glad that I never got my accounts, you know, banned or what have you, because that would have been unfortunate.
Well, I think potentially, I don't remember now, but I think Twitch was in response to stuff like that. It was like, no, you can't do that, because they didn't want to have their competitors get all the traffic, which makes sense. But like now that there's so many potential places to go, like just even TikTok alone is a whole nother thing, which I think TikTok lives are dumb, but that's me.
Well, I'll tell you what, Twitch, if you're listening, I just want you to know that in some ways, yes, I can be bought, and for shockingly cheap in comparison to some streamers. So if you want to ensure Two Nerds in a Pod exclusivity casting on Twitch, I mean, forget what I said earlier, you know, make an offer. Lam and I, we will get back to you. But it is nice to know that that's going to be an option, the simulcasting, because it's hard out there. It's hard to make a living on the interwebs of ours, and anything that improves that for people is probably a nice step forward.
For sure. And you know, you can be streaming things like, oh, I don't know, Diablo 4, which is, you know, a big game right now that people like to stream. And currently Diablo 4 players are taking a major step towards solving the cow level mystery, which I had never heard of before reading this article.
Oh, hang on.
You know this?
Yes, I am a little bit aware of the cow level. So somewhere in the first Diablo game, right, there's like a rumor that there's a cow level. In Diablo 2, open a portal to this level where it was nothing but angry cows, or maybe they were passive cows, but like you could kill them and get a bunch of like gold and other drops.
Sure.
And so I have this vivid memory of watching several friends just, you know, running through this cow level in order to level up and get loot. And
that's amazing.
well, thus beginneth and endeth my knowledge of the cow level. But please, Metzgirl, tell me more.
So when this came out, the Diablo 4 in general, they were like, there's no cow level, stop looking for the cow level. But now they are looking for very specific things, and there's like a whole community of people that are looking for this level, and there's like a Discord that you can go join. But they are supposed to be finding some kind of specific, what did they call it? Oh, so they have to earn 3 items of great significance. So it's been hinted at in the game that the relics are used to craft some form of a key, and that key could be used to access the Forlorn Hovel. So in theory, from there they can open a plane, is the current thinking. And they just did an update to Diablo 4 to give them new content, as you know most games do. And so now they're hot on the tail. They've found one of the first items of great importance, apparently, and the whole community is in a tizzy about it. It's just hilarious.
So I'm not saying that I'm going to get into Diablo 4, but I am saying that I will absolutely be following this with great interest.
Right?
I must know if there is indeed a cow level. And if I'm being perfectly honest, and maybe I have to relinquish my gamer card here, but I don't remember there being a cow level in Diablo 3.
See, I stopped playing Diablo at Diablo 2, so I don't know.
Same.
Yeah, so I can't help you on that one, but yeah, Diablo 2 was my jam back in the day, for sure. I only had minor issues with it being the word for devil.
It was a different time. At such time in our lives, we were both very compelled by the satanic panics of video games.
Yeah, video games were going to make us all become bloodthirsty murderers or something. I don't know. So anyway, that was the most interesting news that I have found this week.
Oh, Metzgirl, thank you so much for sharing. Well, now that we've taken a look at what's going on around us right now, let's take a little look into the past. We call this video game history, and there are a couple of particularly interesting things that happened this last week in years before. Back in 2005, we had the Doom movie starring Carl Urban as Doom Guy. He did pretty good for what it was. Also had The Rock, of course, and it almost felt a bit more like an Alien movie than a Doom movie. And really, the sort of tie-in really kind of only came there at the end. It cost $60 million to make that movie and brought in $56 million. So, $4 million down, not so bad. We've seen worse. One of which I'm going to talk about in a second. But Metzgirl, was the Doom movie one that you saw?
I did not. I do remember seeing the trailers for it and thinking it looked absolutely ridiculous, and that wasn't really my game. Other than the first boy's house I'd ever been to, he had Doom on his computer, and he showed me God mode.
Ooh.
That's all I really remember of the game.
Well, I remember this movie because I was donating blood at the Red Cross, and the Doom movie was on the television. So I saw some of it as I was, sipping my juice and eating my cookie. But I did see that transition from normal air quotes movie to the first person view that Carl Urban gets very briefly right there near the end. Anyway, but another movie that did even worse, if you can believe it, in 2007, the Postal movie. I never saw it, and with numbers like this, I don't think I have to. It cost $15 million to make, brought in $150,000. So pretty bad numbers there. It wasn't the last movie that Yul Boll directed, who's a filmmaker who is very known for video game adaptations, and I'd say bad ones as well. But we'll talk more about him some other day. Now back to actual video games. Just a couple things to highlight from this last week. There are many good options Grand Theft Auto 3, Borderlands. But in 1998, the release of Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1, a game that blew my mind for one particular enemy. Metzgirl, did you by chance play Metal Gear Solid, and do you think you know which one I'm referring to?
No, I was not a Metal Gear Solid kind of person.
No worries at all. The thing that really was kind of a mind bender was the enemy Psycho Mantis, who would read your mind in the game, and what that amounted to was very cheaply reading your controller inputs and it having basically a perfect defense to everything. But in addition to claiming to be able to read your mind, would read the contents of your memory card for your PlayStation, and then like have a line about, oh, I see you really like playing Pokemon, huh?
You can't play Pokemon on a PlayStation. Come on.
Okay, I see you like playing Crash Bandicoot, huh?
There you
this
go.
isn't that type of game. But yeah, so it absolutely blew me away when that happened. That was a type of interactivity that I had never quite seen before in a video game.
And now we wall that off for security concerns.
As well we should. By the way, there's a Metal Gear Solid remaster that has recently come out. And I wonder how they handle that reading of the memory card bit in the remaster. But perhaps that is a question that shall have to wait for another time.
I was thinking I have played a Metal Gear Solid game, but I was trying to remember which one I'd played for a little bit. I think it was number 2 or 3. I played for just a little bit in like a friend's living room or whatever. And I was terrible. It was not good, but it was entertaining to watch me die again and again and again and again. Because of course they threw me in like one of the hardest levels.
There's no better gateway drug than playing the game at a friend's house.
True.
I do kind of miss that. That was a fun sort of aspect to the old days. Well, back to the old days. October 18th, 1985, the launch of the NES in the United States. So the NES had an interesting launch because, of course, we are, Nintendo's dipping their toe into the American market, and they start by doing a limited release in New York only. And then in February of 96, the following year, they do another small limited release in Los Angeles. And then by September of 86, they finally do a whole sort of, okay, all North America, you can get your hands on it. But as early as 1985, you had Nintendo Entertainment Systems floating around, at least in the eastern portions of the US. Very, very limited. Mm-hmm. I could say more about that, but I've already taken up so much time with this already, and there is still one last game I want to get to. Released in 2018, so objectively a lot less historical than 1985 for sure. But no less worthy of our time and attention. That is Return of the Obra Dinn. Now, Metzgirl, have you played this game?
No, I don't think I have.
You must play it.
Oh, it's a mystery.
It absolutely is. One of the things that I love about Return of the Obra Dinn is I think it is a video game in the truest embrace of interacting in only a way a video game could. There are some video games that have, like visual novels, for example, as a genre, have qualities to them that you could almost call choose your own
adventure. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you have some video games that could have been, the same story could have been delivered in a different way, in a different medium. Return of the Obra Dinn is an experience that truly embraces what it is that video games can do in order to deliver a mystery experience. And though it has this sort of lo-fi styling to it, it definitely looks very, pixely and not very detailed, it absolutely blows you away. Within, 5 to 10 minutes, you absolutely hooked. A fantastic game. I think it will go down in history as sort of an example, like I said, of just a storytelling uniquely suited to video games and video games alone. Big words, I know, but I encourage you all, out of all the things we've talked about, Obra Dinn, hands down, an experience that you must have at some point in time. Clear your schedule, make a nice rainy day of it. You will not be disappointed.
And it's only $19.99 over on Steam right now, so I might have to check that out. I do enjoy a solidly priced game, even if it's that old.
As Lom would say, #baller on a budget.
For sure.
And that is what I had for news this week.
Well, do I have a new gaming... Okay, it's not really new, but a piece of gaming hardware, kind of, that has captured people's attention and minds. So we all know Steam has their index for their AR experience or VR experience, and we've got the Quest and all these other ones that are out there, but it's a little bit too clunky, too tied down. So people have been coming up with like glasses that you can wear for AR adventures. Google kind of they fell apart. It hasn't been a thing.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot that Google Glass was even a thing.
Yeah, see, like you don't even remember. But there is now a new company called X-Rail. Well, they're not new. They've been making these for a while, but their newest version of their glasses are an AR experience, and depending upon which version you get, there's 3 different ones. There's the base model. It's called the X-Rail Air 2. And there's the middle model, and then there's the upper model, which is the Pro. So the X-Rail Air 2, it does have to be cord connected to a device that you can utilize with it. But it can be used for like watching videos, because there's like speakers built into the sides of the glasses that go behind the ear. There's speakers built in so that you can hear whatever you're watching. And then on the X-Rail Air 2, the non-Pro version, it doesn't have dimming, but they have like a shade that you can put in front of it so that you have just this screen in front of your eyes. Whereas the next version, it has like 3 different levels of light opacity, so that when you're wearing these, you can either have like be able to basically see through them, you can have it so that it's like 35% dim, and then you can have it completely blacked out. And what this provides is a background for whatever you're trying to watch. So you can watch a movie, you can potentially have games on there if you connect it up to like a Switch or something along those lines. I really want to know what Pokemon Go is going to look like on these glasses. For the most part, it seems like the one person who is just getting the base model with no extra adapters or anything, because it has a USB-C, and whatever you're playing with has to have a USB-C out display port in order for it to get up to your glasses, unless there's adapters and things, of course.
Sure.
I think it sounds really fascinating. I don't know how practical it is. I want to kind of like give it a shot. If I had $400 to throw around, which I don't, I would pick up a pair and, try to watch a movie while I'm laying in bed and see what happens.
Now, that does sound exciting.
Have you ever heard of these?
No, this is the first time that I have heard of them. One of the things that I will note, and I really appreciate that you gave me the layup for the Pokemon Go thing, because the earliest Pokemon Go thing that happened was that Google April Fool's become a Pokemon Master thing, and their advertisement that kind of came along with it was people doing basically augmented reality was the game, but also with the, you'd pull up the phone and then there you would see the Kangaskhan over there, or the Execute. And so then you would, do the thing and catch them. And I admittedly have been out of the Pokemon Go arena for quite some time.
It is still an option to do the AR mode. However, it's super annoying because you have to move your phone around to find the creature, and then you have to like try to catch it in the AR setting, and sometimes things can glitch a little bit because it's picking up, all the stuff behind it. So I don't recommend playing Pokemon Go on AR setting currently, but I wonder if these glasses would potentially help with that, because if there's something else that's basically like it's being powered from your phone, so it's not going to have as good of a battery life, but potentially you could utilize that as your vision, and then you wouldn't be limited to what the camera sees, and you could, move around a little bit better and see things more clearly, I would hope.
This is all I have wanted of a Pokemon Go experience and more. So, like, I don't know. I assume as you were prepping for today, you're like, oh yeah, I know what's going to get Mac to agree with me completely. Yeah, this sounds incredible. $400 is a little steep, but woo. Yeah, no, I desperately want to try it out. Now, you say they've been at this...
No, they had an X-Real, or it was a different company name at the time, but they had their Air 1, basically, previously, and the reviews on that were very mixed. But this one seems to be doing significantly better, and they have something called the X-Real Beam, which looks... It's a little... almost looks like an iPod, to be honest, but it does a transfer. So like if you have a device that doesn't have a video out, you can run it through the beam, and so you put the device into the beam, into the into the display port, and then it can go back out to the glasses. So unfortunately, to get the entire bundle, it's $500. So a little bit steep, but if you got $500 laying around and you want a fun augmented reality / like way to watch videos while you're laying around, or and you don't have to hold the phone up. That's the thing for me. Like when I'm watching videos in bed and I'm trying to get myself calmed down before sleeping, and I have my phone and like my hand just gets so tired and I'm just like, ugh, this sucks. I would 100% want a pair of these to be able to do that. And if they somehow could make them prescription, that would be even better. So then I didn't have to worry about my glasses or my... I don't expect these to be prescription anytime soon, but it'd be interesting. An interesting combination. I'm sure that would make them be like $3,000, but I'm pretty interested to see if this actually catches on a little bit, or if this ends up just being, one of those niche things. But they actually look pretty decent, I think. Like, as far as glasses go, they do sit out a little bit from your face. Like, the nose piece makes them sit out a little bit further, which I'm sure if you're trying to display something to people, it's going to be a little bit meh. But the only thing that, like, it has to be light gaming. It can't really handle, like, really intense pictures. And like anything that you need a big wide view for, it's not going to be very good. So like that's most of my games. I play a lot of like city building, or Civ 6 or whatever number it's on, or whatever. And so like those are kind of my games, and it's not going to work real well for that. But I'd be down for watching some Doctor Who as I lay in bed. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be fun. And, we've tried to do gaming and movies. We've tried to do entertainment in 3D to mixed results.
Oh, yeah. These can do 3D, too. I didn't mention that.
I won't hold that against them. But I feel like what we haven't done too much pushing for, especially not since we pioneered the early attempts, has been AR. Yeah. And I know that Mr. Nice Guy is a big fan of the VR space.
Sure.
I'm curious to see what he thinks when he comes back next week and has thoughts, I'm sure, about this. But this sounds fantastic. And thanks for bringing it up. I'm ready to take my Pokemon Go to the next level.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, thanks so much, Metzgirl. Now, we do have another thing to talk about. A little project, if you will. Perhaps even a crowdfunding project. We call this Kick or Kickstart. I've sent you a link to a crowdfunding project that's trying to get off the ground. Let me give you a little intro to it. This is called Nightstones, an open world adventure. This game all about exploration and puzzle solving, but the weird twist is that it's primarily without combat. These guys are looking for $30,000 to complete this game. They're already 60% of the way there, with about 22 days left to go. For a copy for all of our #ballers on budgets, the $20 is the minimum buy-in price for this game, with the expected launch to be April of next year, releasing first on Steam, with Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox to follow, potentially. It says that that's going to be released on all those, and I didn't see the mention of those release platforms being a stretch goal, so I'm pretty sure that their plan is to release on all of those platforms no matter what, but they do cite the Steam as being the first one. So generally, it's got a cute look to it that I like. It has a sort of, I would say, a slightly more cartoonish style to it, but certainly leaning heavily into Legend of Zelda vibes. But anyway, Metzgirl, I've talked about it for a few minutes. Is there anything that jumps out to you about this project?
Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love it. So this gives me a little bit of Earthbound vibes too. Just the main character, Flynn. The way his avatar looks is very, to me, it reminisces to Ness a lot.
Yeah, I can 100% see that.
The girl with no name, not so much on Paula, but like, and the fact that there's like little sailboats and you've got some, looks like some really interesting different puzzle pieces and stuff, like that is right up my alley. Is there a playable demo though?
Okay, you have hit upon it. There is not, unless of course it has changed since my initial research and from my looking through it previously. There is no playable demo, but they do have a developer log series on it on their YouTube.
Oh.
So I'm of two minds. On the one hand, as anybody who's listened to the show before knows, I have this rule about having playable demos because I don't want somebody to say, hey, I can make a game, and then not be able to bring the components of a game together. One of the things that I know bees that gets in the game dev bonnets is when people assume that they know how a game is made or how to make a game or bring it to market, when a lot of times all that people know about is just a small component. So I get really worried that we'll see a Kickstarter and it'll have promising ideas, but just the inability to bring it all together. And a playable demo really takes a lot of that mystery out of it. We can see that they can bring together the music, the action, the controls, the graphics, all in a good, pleasing way that feels like it'll work, and it's not just a fancy render. That rule has seen me through a lot of Kickstarters that have turned out to be not so great in the end. Now, it's not foolproof. There's plenty that I've passed on because of no playable demo that have turned out amazing, and plenty that I've gone for with the playable demo that haven't turned out so great. So it's not 100%, but I feel like it saves me a lot of the way. But a developer log series does kind of show a lot of the base components there.
For sure.
The understanding. I feel I have to be consistent and I have to bind myself to my playable demo standard. But Metzgirl, it looks cute. Does the notion that there is a developer series that you can watch on YouTube give you greater confidence?
I would have to watch the devlog before I said that was good or bad, because I know it's 100% possible that they're just spouting things that don't make any sense to me. And it's also possible that they're spouting things that don't mean anything. Like, oh yeah, we were working on making these trees be able to sway better, but the...
Metzgirl, that is how you promote synergy.
Yes, obviously. And you have to have good optics on your YouTube channel to ensure the maximum...
Fluxes from the flux capacitor?
Sure, why not? But honestly, I think I would go for it anyway. This is super, like, they have videos of the gameplay, and it looks good from the little things I'm seeing. And with a $20 kick fee, or with a $20 pledge, I don't think that's terrible for a Kickstarter, honestly. I've seen way too many of these be like, oh yeah, for $35 you get the game. Like, I'll just wait till it comes out, thanks. But that's the other thing. I don't know how far along they are.
The estimated delivery is supposed to be April of next year, so that's just 6 months away. If they can deliver on time, 9 times out of 10, a Kickstarter delivers...
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, late.
At least it would be a digital delivery, and you don't have to worry about supply chain issues, because that's been my issue with other Kickstarters. Like, oh, we were making these dice, but we couldn't get the right whatever to make them properly. So in this particular case, if it's digitally delivered and they can actually get it, we'll give them 9 months minimum. I think it could be a good purchase. A good kickstart.
So I have to say kick because I have to be consistent and I have to stick with my thing. But like, I want to say kickstart, and I don't think that I don't think that the devs, I don't think that that Advance 9 is listening. Although I hope that you are. I would love to have the chance to try it out, take a look at it. You know, if you guys have a demo up before the end of your Kickstarter, I will probably eat my words and switch this over to a Kickstart, because I can do that, because this is my show. But for now, I just have to say that as much as I enjoy the promise, I like what you've got here. Come on, guys. You know, if you truly are only 6 months away, we should be able to try out the demo. Yeah. And if I'm the fool here who just can't seem to find the demo, number one, I don't think I'm the only one. But number two, you know, put that demo stuff front and center. Let us know that we can try it and see how it feels. But if you're this far along, you ought to have something for us to try out. That's all I'm saying. I'd even be happy with 5 to 10 minutes of something. Doesn't have to be long. Just something.
Yeah. Give me one level to run through. Do a little, whatever your like things are. So like there's a video of him gliding. Like, show me how to glide. Give me a little taste of how to walk through the world. And then
that little night crystal that shows bridges where there weren't bridges during the daytime. You know, let me interact with a puzzle or two like that. Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
You know,
they do have a press kit, which tells me that they are more professional than 9/10 of the Kickstarters that I see. So that does give them a little bump, in my opinion.
Well, we do wish all crowdfunding projects well. It is your dream, it is your hopes, and we don't want to dash them, but we are sort of mixed on this one. But yeah, get us a demo if you please. That has been Kick or Kickstart. Where does that leave us? That leaves us now for a chance to prove our mettle with a little bit of nerd flex. A woo-hoo. Excellent. It will sound great in post.
Sure.
So, we will be going primarily for our test bank today. Metzgirl, would you do the honors of our first question?
Let me shuffle up here. All right. What does the kanji script on Final Fantasy II's fury-inducing head bomber translate to?
I have absolutely no idea. I'm going to take a stab in the dark, and I'm going to say rage. That's the only thing that comes to mind.
Sure.
It is not a multiple choice question, so Metzgirl, you are welcome to posit your own, and we'll see who's right.
Bunny time. I don't know. Ooh, you're very close. Anger, not rage.
Anger.
So close.
That's real close. Real close. Okay. I'll take the next one.
Okay.
This is a Konami question,
Ooh.
and is fitting because we talked about this game earlier today.
Okay.
The question is, what appears above soldiers' heads when they spot Snake in Metal Gear Solid? I feel fairly confident in an answer, but Metzgirl, I'm curious if you've got a guess.
I'm going to guess exclamation point.
And you would be 100% correct.
Woo!
It is indeed the humble exclamation point. Woo woo! We got one.
I do remember that from when I died so many times.
Third question. We'll see if we can make a go of it.
What are the names of the two witches that make up Twin Rova?
Oh,
What game is that from?
that's from Ocarina of Time.
Oh. God, I don't remember their names. I just remember the witches. I forgot
Yeah.
Twin Rova was even a thing. So it's been way too long.
I feel like it rhymes, and I'm gonna say something like Hazel and Pazel.
Sure. Sounds good. Let's find out. No, it's Kotake and Koami? I can't pronounce them. Maybe that's why I don't remember their names.
Your pronunciation better than what I would have done, that's for sure. Well, it is unfortunate that we didn't do so well this time around, but you know what? We at least got one of the questions right, so it's not a clean sweep, so I still consider that to be a win. Of all the questions in all of video game history, we still knew 1 out of 3, and that's a passing as far as I'm concerned.
Sure, we'll call it that.
Now we turn to a little bit of legalese.
Legalese.
I am not a lawyer. I just play one sometimes on a podcast, and I've got an interesting little development. 2 companies, IGT and Zynga. So Zynga is a mobile game developer, a subsidiary of Take-Two, which is probably most well known for the games Farmville, as well as the With Friends series. So that's Words with Friends, Boggle with Friends, Chess with Friends, and so on. So back in 2021, Zynga managed to get themselves sued by International Game Technology, IGT, for infringing on 6 of their patents. Now, this was definitely a little bit interesting because IGT is most notable for gambling games and slot machines. If you've been into a casino lately, you've probably seen some of their video poker or their video slot machines or, you know, any of that sort of pseudo video game gambling stuff that you see when you go into a casino. So, now, under certain circumstances, when there is a company that is suing a game company or any tech company for patent infringement and they don't like make stuff, I usually go, yeah, that's just some patent trolling. But like, these guys are prolific. Like, IGT makes tons of stuff, just not in our usual sphere. So it's not obvious that they were being patent trolls or anything like that. They sued for infringement on 6 patents. And I'll just throw out the names of these patents and what they're, which is supposed to include a little bit of information about what they do and what year it was granted to them. So, there's 6 of them. I'm only going to give 3. One, the detecting and preventing bots and cheating in online gaming, which was apparently a patent given to them in 2014. a patent for mobile gaming device carrying out uninterrupted game despite communications link disruption given to them in 2015, and secured virtual network in a gaming environment given to them in 2007, and 3 others that I'm not going to bore you with. Now, Metzgirl, obviously, what's in a name? Theoretically speaking, some description of what they do, hopefully. But am I being crazy if I were to say I don't think that even in those years that what that patent was supposed to do was, shall we say, a novel thing, right?
I mean, it does seem really strange that that particular thing is patented. So I don't like. The bar for clearing the patent office seems to be pretty low.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, if I'm being real, I'm asking this question because I agree wholeheartedly, and I want to hear you say it instead of just me say it, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Well, I agree with you.
Thank you, Metzgirl. I knew I could con you. Well, as the case has gone on since 2011 and discovery was conducted, most of the patent infringement claims have dropped off. This could be that after having seen how Zynga games operated at a more technical level, they decided it probably wasn't close enough to keep that specific count going. So by the time we made it to the end of the road here in 2023, only one of the patents was still being considered in the case. And that was the disrupted communications patent. Now, they had their trial on the 16th of this month, and on the 20th, the jury found that the disrupted communications patent was an obvious bit of technology that should have never been granted a patent in the first place.
Yay!
And sometimes, these patents cases can be a high-stakes game of chicken, because on the opposite side of the case, you might walk out of that courtroom with less property that you had walking in, and not just in a money sense. You may indeed lose your patents. So, I don't know anything really about these parties, generally.
Sure.
But I do know from my very brief bit of reading that it seems like this might have been a bit of a reach from a gambling company to come at Zynga, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like maybe this was a win for the good guys? Who knows?
I mean, being able to eliminate a patent because it's not a patentable idea is, I think, a good thing, because there's too many of these ridiculous patents out there. Like, I'm going to patent that's hot because that's my saying. Like, no, you can't put those 2 words together and call that a catchphrase. Just stop it. But things like that, where like you hear these ridiculous claims and they just continue to exist because no one's bothering to stop them. So I love that this is a patent that's being struck down because it's ridiculous.
I'm certainly inclined to agree with you. Thank you so much, Metzgirl. Yeah, perhaps it is a win. You know, crack one up in the win column for us. Well, that has been a bit of legalese. But before we go, we have to do perhaps the most important thing, and that is talk about what we've been watching and playing. Metzgirl, what cool, nerdy things have you been into this week?
Well, I'm trying to catch up on Doctor Who. I was behind because I couldn't get to the streaming services, but now I have Max, so I can get to them. And Jodie's seasons are not the best, but I'll make it through for Tenet.
And then Nakuti Gatwa.
Oh, yeah. But it's just that, like,
Yeah.
I've been seeing all of these things with David Tennant coming back as the Doctor, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to watch everything up to that because I don't know what's going on. So I'm very excited for that. And I've been watching, because I have Max now, actual full shows of Late Night with John Oliver, because I was just previously catching whatever I could on YouTube. And then there's actually a YouTube show called Jetlagged, which is a show where 3 guys go around the world playing a game. So this season, this was the 7th season, they were in Europe playing 72 hours of tag. And there's special rules, and like you have to get coins to be able to travel as the person who's trying to outwit the others and stuff like that. It's really interesting, and you get to see random bits of like the world that you don't necessarily have any reason to see. Like they ended up in so many small little towns that are just like, I didn't know that town existed, and that's really quaint, and I love it. Anyway, and then I also Robin Hood Men in Tights, as I mentioned. Nimona is actually a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I know, right? Nimona's great.
It's so good. And then Road to El Dorado. We watched that again.
Classic.
Another one that didn't stand up as well as I was expecting. But who doesn't love two bards on an adventure?
Mm-hmm. Well, for my part, I've seen some of Our Flag Means Death Season 2. Love it. Season 2 is actively coming out, so, if you've got Max, give yourself a little bit of time, and you'll be able to just binge them all at once. Also, a couple of bad movies, ? Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which I watched at the request of a friend who was visiting.
Interesting.
And then one absolutely bonkers crazy one, the Nick Cage, John Travolta classic Face Off.
I knew
it! At the request of my spouse, we watched Face Off, if you can believe it.
It's such a bad movie. Oh my gosh.
It's so bad. And it's so long. And it's like, you've heard of like 3-act plays or whatever.
This is like 17.
It was wild.
Oh. And like every time you think that it's going to end, it's like, nope, now there's another change. And you're just like,
But I have been playing a couple of interesting things. I did crack out Drop Mix, and it is still working, which is good because I had all the stuff downloaded locally.
Impressive.
So that component of it still works. Playing some GURPS and some D&D as always. But I also got my hands for just a pittance, a couple of dollars, a game. It doesn't have much replayability, but it's really cool, called Consulting Detective. And it's a mystery game, and really enjoying it. It's a good time. But Metzgirl, you had some games you were playing.
I left those off. Sorry. I've been playing Stardew, as I always do. Fable 2.
Nice.
I'm going back, because I never got to play them, because I didn't have an Xbox at the time they came out. So that's been interesting. I'm sleeping with everybody I can, because why not? And then Slime Rancher 2. The new slimes are super cute. I love the bunnies. They're my favorite, even though they're not worth much, but good times. Very good times.
Lovely. I actually, Slime Rancher 2 is on my wish list.
Yes. I recommend it. And of course D&D and GURPS and Mothership, actually, not D&D, Mothership.
Ooh,
it's
interesting.
It's a TTRPG. The concept is that it's basically a space kind of horror-ish game, but it's very focused on RP rather than the mechanics of it. So if you want to know more, let me know. I'll give you a rundown.
Oh, absolutely. And she will give us a rundown. But with the exception of Face Off and probably Valerian, I can enthusiastically recommend everything that we have discussed. So if you're looking for cool, nerdy things to get into, there's your list, my friends.
Indeed. Although I would say, if you play Face Off, go find a drinking game or something online, and then follow that drinking game. It might make it more interesting.
Ooh,
or just watch a better movie.
I think you might be onto something. Or just really that is the next level play there. The pro gamer move. Well, Metzgirl, thanks for joining us tonight. Metzgirl, anything you want to shout out before we take off?
I'm not doing anything publicly at the moment, so no, I'm good. Go listen to Beholder's Eye because it's an amazing podcast, but we're on hiatus at the moment.
That means people can get caught up. Start at episode 15, and that's your perfect on board spot.
Because that's when my character joined.
Yes, indeed. So again, thanks for being with us. And thanks to everybody here who's listening to us after the fact. If you want to catch this show live, we do it most Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central on twitch.tv/2nerds in a pod. Be excellent to each other and keep it nerdy. We'll see ya.
Bye.